What are the most effective ways to reduce chronic absenteeism when the barriers are transportation, housing instability, health, and disengagement? Well, years ago, when I was still learning what it meant to lead in a way that truly sees every child, I sat across from a mother whose son had missed nearly a month of school. Now, on paper, he looked like a student who simply didn't care. In person, I learned the truth. Their family had moved twice that fall. The bus route no longer reached the motel where they were staying. Her son had asthma that flared without warning, and there was no one home during the day to help him manage it. You see, he wasn't refusing school. School had quietly become unreachable. I had almost labeled him unmotivated. That moment changed how I understand attendance forever. You see, here is where so many of us go wrong. When a student stops showing up, we reach for the language of willpower. We send the letters. We escalate the consequences. We assume that if the family simply wanted it badly enough, the child would be in the seat. But the data does not support that story. Chronic absence has surged to levels we have never seen, affecting families across every income level, community type, and zip code. When roughly a quarter of a nation's students are missing this much school, the problem is no longer a character flaw in children. It is a signal about the conditions surrounding them. The transformational leaders I most admire begin somewhere different. They begin by asking why. So before designing a single intervention, they honestly assess what keeps students from walking through the door, because a school policy or practice is sometimes the very thing standing in the way. This is the shift that separates leaders who lecture families from leaders who partner with them. One assumes the obstacle lives inside the child. The other assumes the obstacle can be found, understood, and removed. So consider transportation, the barrier we most often overlook. We treat the bus as a logistics matter rather than an attendance strategy. Yet the research is remarkably clear. Students who reliably ride the bus are meaningfully less likely to be chronically absent. And dependable transportation can dramatically reduce absence for our youngest and most vulnerable learners. You see, when a family's route disappears, so does the child. This is not a motivation problem. This is a design problem, and design problems are ours. The same holds for housing, health, and the slow erosion we called disengagement. A student without stable housing cannot be expected to overcome instability through sheer determination. A child whose health needs go unmet during the school day will keep disappearing until someone coordinates care. And disengagement is rarely the starting point. It is usually the residue of barriers no one addressed in time. So the best response, then, is not louder accountability aimed at children. It is coordinated, people-centered action aimed at obstacles. We identify the real reason, we assign clear ownership, and we solve it quickly enough to matter to the family living it. I think often of that mother and her son. What he needed was not a speech about his future. He needed a route that reached him, a plan for his asthma, and a school that treated his absence as a question rather than a verdict. When we finally did those things, he came back. They almost always do. So I will leave you with the question I now ask myself. When your next student stops showing up, will you assume they have stopped caring? Or will you go looking for the barriers standing between that child and your open door? In your next leadership meeting, I want you to choose 3 of your most chronically absent students and refuse to guess. Find the actual reason each one is missing school. Name a person responsible for removing that specific barrier and set a date to check whether it worked. Then build that same habit. Ask why. Assign ownership. Remove the obstacle and make it how your system responds every single time. Do that faithfully, and you will discover what I did. Most students are not unwilling to come back. They are simply waiting for someone to clear the path.